Hello, this is Atsushi from Upcycle Stitches. Welcome to Sashiko Story Volume 3. Today, I would like to talk about this thread for Sashiko. I know, it is pretty hot topic, especially if you're looking for the answers, the correct answers for the Sashiko stitching. It is very important to know what kind of thread you would like to use. As you can imagine, this is one of the frequent questions I receive as well. What kind of Sashiko thread is the best for my Sashiko project? The answer is pretty simple. It is about your preference and the purpose of your Sashiko project. I'm sorry for disappointing by not providing the right answer or like exact answer, but it is really up to your preferences. However, to help you to find the best Sashiko thread or best thread for your project, this is my Sashiko story. First, I want you to understand the purpose of Sashiko and also your purpose of Sashiko project. The main and original purpose of Sashiko is a bit different from the other type of hand stitching. It is to make the fabric stronger and durable instead of patching or connecting two fabrics, so-called patchworking or tailoring. Um, if you want to make this kind of bag, if you use the sewing machine here, I would use different kind of thread, not Sashiko thread. The reason is this is the place where you have to connect two fabric together, so-called tailoring or finishing. Let's say, for example, in order to make a dress, we need a tightly twist thread, which tend to be firm and thin. A sewing machine also uses the kind of the tight and thin thread to make good sewing stitches. For that, we do not want the thread to be frayed or loosened at all when the person wears the dress. If you wear this kind of a dress, if you don't want to have the in between, like a tailored part to be kind of frayed or loosened by wearing them. Also, when the thread is very old and weak enough, we want them to be easy. It should be easy to be cut off to make a repair. The main purpose of Sashiko thread, in contrast, is to be the part of the fabric, yet not completely frayed over time. I hope it makes sense. Therefore, the Sashiko thread has the unique twist to keep the stitches beautiful, not frayed, yet soft enough to merge into the fabric over time. So the Sashiko thread will go into the fabric, merge into the existing fabric, and then become the part of the fabric, which is the biggest difference between the Sashiko thread and regular sewing thread. And if the purpose of your Sashiko project is to make a good Sashiko stitching, I really want you to try to get the Sashiko thread. A good Sashiko pieces, including some of the nice borrow pieces, has the patterns as if they are not stitched. It looks like it's dyed out or it's even drawn. It is the beauty of Sashiko thread to alter itself to be the part of the fabric. So over time, Sashiko thread becomes the part of the fabric, therefore it doesn't look to be stitched. Also, the tight twist of the thread, like a very tight sewing thread, is sometimes too strong for the vintage fabric, which is already torn. So instead of being a part of the fabric, those tight thread could just tear the fabric. We avoid using the tight sewing thread for mending borrow, like the photo I show right now there. There we go. So you may want to make sure what is your purpose of your Sashiko stitching. If you're mending denim with denim patch without caring the patterns, any kind of fabric will be fine. However, if you would like to have a good looking Sashiko stitches over time to make fabric stronger, then get the thread designed for Sashiko stitching. There is a reason we call it Sashiko thread. Not only about the thickness, not only about the color, not only about the materials. It is about the twist, very unique twist that we ask manufacturer to make. That's why it's called thread for Sashiko. The second part is, how do you want to age your thread? By doing Sashiko stitching, usually the fabric gets much stronger, which means you can use that cloth, bag, wallet, anything for a long time. So it is really up to your schedule of that project, but the color is very much up to your preference. So I want to think, what is your plan for this? How you want to age the color of the thread? In our online store, in our upcyclestitches.com, we have more than 50, close to 100. Well, including the one-of-the-kind colors, we have many kinds of colors available to choose from. I personally prefer the natural dye Sashiko thread because we work on a lot of Japanese vintage fabric. The beauty of vintage fabric is the color created by the time passing, right? So the vintage fabric, let's say made 50 years ago, 100 years ago, 200 years ago, over time, those indigo dye fabric changed the color. That's why it became so one of the kind and beauty. One of the kind, beautiful fabric. And I call that aging in a good way. In order to match the color of vintage fabric which the time created, the natural dye is the best choice. In fact, that is the reason we dye the thread. We cannot find the best, most appropriate color for our project. So we decided to invest our time and some money into natural dye about 10 years ago. So we dye. We are the group of Sashiko professionals, but we do dye thread because we wanted to have that. So the synthetic dye can be too strong. It is pretty vivid. It's very strong color in contrast to the soft and aged vintage color. So we prefer not to use it. Another great point of using the natural dye is that the thread also changes the color over time. It is natural dyed and hand dyed, so it will not bleed the color by just one wash, but it will change the color by sunlight and also washing. So, which means the vintage fabric changed the color over time, as well as the thread will change the color over time. The beauty of fading color together vintage fabric and the natural dye thread with integrating each other because of the unique twist. Thread becomes the fabric becomes part of the thread, is the most important concept of our Sashiko stitching to bring the old fabric into the new life or new stage. So we believe the beauty of boro is there too. That's why we say that we make boro instead of we deal with boro. We try to add the life into the completely torn fabric to make it as a boro. Okay, my favorite is the natural dye Sashiko thread, and of course the most favorite is the indigo. I love indigo. Like, if I had a choice to be an indigo dyer, I might. I do have a choice, but well, anyway. So these are the Sashiko thread we dye. We try to dye to the same color every batch, but every batch is a little bit different. So that's another beauty of that. It's the same color yet one of the kind. So the quality, however, though, above that said, The quality of the synthetic dye Sashiko thread is as good as the natural dye. We use the exactly same twist, same materials, cotton, same cotton, and from the same manufacturer. So it is just the difference of the color and the dye materials. All right. So all of those said, two things said. One, understanding the purpose of your Sashiko project. Two, how do you want to age your thread with the colors? Here is some, well, above those said, I recommended the thread satisfying these following qualifications. All right. So three of those. One, um, try cotton 100%. There are a lot of silk thread, there are a lot of choices, but cotton 100% is a good selection, especially if you're not experienced. The better cotton it is, the better. Better cotton it is, the better thread. Better result you get. So, like Egyptian cotton, 100% Sashiko thread made in Japan is probably the best we think of. The second thing is a unique twist of Sashiko thread. This is the whole purpose of this video. Sashiko thread has a unique twist. Even the same thickness, Sashiko thread and non-Sashiko thread will give you a different result. So try to get the unique Sashiko twist. But you gotta find your best twist by actually trying. We sell the Sashiko thread we think the best, but of course it's up to the preferences. So some people like it, some people might not like it. So I want to kind of try the different manufacturer, different manufacturer, and then find the best Sashiko thread for you. So the third thing is how much it gets frayed over stitching. As I said, not too much. Not too much being frayed is good, but not frayed at all is kind of scary too. So personally, I do not like the frayed thread. I get frustrated when I stitch. To avoid that, you have to have the thread about, a meter or 2 meters length every time you stitch. However, not too tight to avoid any damage to the fabric as well as to support the twist. So those three qualifications will help you to find the best Sashiko thread for your project and for your Sashiko stitching. All right. And the Sashiko thread we sell in the USA and worldwide from Japan is satisfying all of the qualifications I mentioned right now. We sell them simply because we like them. We really like them. We use them on a daily basis, and we are confident that the customers, you, will be happy with the quality and result. Also, we can share some techniques and wisdom by providing exactly the same Sashiko thread as we use. So if you have any problem or questions, I can answer that because we use the exactly same materials. For that, I almost forgot to mention that all of my tutorials online, on YouTube or my website, is based on the fact that the viewers, you are using the same supplies and tools. For example, kasane, the overlay stitching to make a knot may not work if you do not use the thread we provide. Especially if you use like non-Sashiko thread, if you use like regular sewing thread, it probably will not work. You probably need a knot to stop the stitching unless you use the Sashiko thread. So I can assist you if you have a problem with our thread because I know what the thread is like. However, if you're using other brand thread, the first thing you can try to fix the problem is to switch the thread. It's really, really simple. Kasane seems to be like an overlay stitching, not making a knot. Sounds like a little overwhelming, but it is pretty simple, so it may be the thread not doing a good job instead of you not doing a good job. So if you could think, if you could give it a try, that'd be really, really good. So there's a summary. I want you to understand the difference between the Sashiko thread and non-Sashiko thread based on the purpose of stitching. Again, Sashiko stitching is for the purpose of making the fabric stronger. So we, or Sashiko stitchers, want thread to be the part of the fabric over time. So it has a very unique twist, and I hope you will enjoy the result of stitching with Sashiko thread. So this is the Sashiko story number 3. I just cut my hair, so those are... But I will see you next story number 4. Any request for the topic, I'm happy to receive that. I will talk about it. Seriously, the hair is hanging here. So please leave the comments for the future request. I will make another Sashiko stories over time. All right, thank you so much. Bye bye.